what? It's what? Welcome to Old Man Liver's What's What program with your favorite freaky fucked up friend, where I get to have whoever I want on my show and do whatever I want. So that's handy for me, not so good for you. But in this case, it's a particularly good thing because I have well-known celebrity Johnny Katz on the show today.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Thanks for being on.
I'm
it's
loving
really
it.
fun. I'm excited for you to be on my show.
I like it. Yeah.
Really, we're stepping up our celebrity game here.
Oh, that's a tough commentary.
Yeah, very, very getting, you're famous in your own right now, from reporting on entertainment and other famous people.
I cover a lot of well-known people.
Oh yeah, and you're all over the place. I turn the TV on. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, it was just
paper.
I was just on TV before I came out here. So,
which is awesome. So, but mostly you work with the Las Vegas Review Journal. Is that correct?
My title is columnist, daily columnist for the Review Journal, and Neon, which is neon.lvrj.com. That's our entertainment platform and magazine, and that's where you find my column usually online. And but we do a thing called 7 at 7, which is 7 minutes in the morning, 7 minutes at night of news. And I'm on that every episode of that too. So
so it's literally like a daily thing you're covering because there's that much entertainment going on in the Las Vegas area these days.
Oh yeah. No
so
question.
you got to tell me this whole, because I know you're not from Vegas originally, but you've been here since the 90s, right? Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how did your whole career and moving spectacle come about?
Well, my moving spectacle started in the spectacle that is Pocatello, Idaho, southeastern Idaho. It's a town of about 65,000 people in southeastern Idaho. It's about 2.5 hours north of Salt Lake City.
It's not that small.
Yeah, no, it's where Idaho State University is located. And my family's originally from there, both sides. And my dad was a veterinarian when I was a kid in the 70s. And that was where the family lived, the family business. And then as we got into about 1980 and I was 13 years old, we moved to Northern California and bought orchard land near a place called Chico, California. And I lived for the rest of my growing up
area,
there. It's really beautiful, really beautiful. And my dad, his side of the family had a lot of farming in it. They're Greek, and that's why my family was in Idaho to ranch. And so I grew up.
You came from like a ranching type.
A lot of rural activity, no question. Yeah, both in Pocatello and in Chico. And it's funny. My dad today is back in that area in Pocatello, and he runs a place called the Lava Hot Springs Inn in Lava Hot Springs, Idaho, which is not too far off of vibe than this place.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it.
So that's a town of about 370 people.
Yeah, that's actually even bigger than Good Springs. Yeah. We've got a whopping 200 over here, and that's when me and my chickens are in town.
The chickens are on part of the
half
survey?
of the population.
Okay, well, don't eat them. So anyway, I grew up the rest of the way in Chico, and I started my career in Chico at the daily newspaper there at the Enterprise Record. I was a sports writer, and worked as a sports writer from 1984 until 1996 in that area, first in Chico and then in Redding, California, north even of there, Lake Shasta and that Mount
beautiful
Shasta.
Area.
Really beautiful whiskey town. And then in 96, I was interviewed and recruited to become a sports writer at the Review Journal. And I covered UNLV's basketball team. I covered. I was
going to say that's a big change, though, from two kind of rural areas to Las Vegas. Even though Las Vegas was more rural back then.
It was nothing like where I lived, though. Yeah, it was. I was pretty much a community guy up until community involved, community sports. I covered the Speedway on the weekends. I covered the Red Bluff Roundup Rodeo, the Reading Rodeo in those days. A lot of school sports, a lot of just whatever was happening in the area. So I came here, and it was like really far out. It was like, whoa, this is a whole different culture.
Oh, yeah.
I moved here when the weekend that the Stratosphere opened. That was my entry into Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah. I remember the Stratosphere originally was supposed to be double the size of what it ended up being. So it was like shortened because I was around when it was being
the Bob Stupak vision was,
Right, but it's still tall and huge.
Yeah,
and
1149 to the tip. They had a King Kong idea for the elevator on the outside.
I remember that. Yeah, they were going to do a King Kong thing, which never happened.
And I moved here, and I literally in the shadow of the Strat. I was living in a studio apartment where there was a 1-bedroom with me and two buddies until we got a regular bigger apartment. So we were on West Sahara Avenue, and when the night that the Stratosphere opened, they were blowing fireworks off that thing, and I'm like, I don't know why I moved here.
Yeah, that
this is crazy.
Yeah, like what the hell am I doing? Did you have a moment like that where you're like,
the first thing that happened to me, where I really got the epiphany in Las Vegas, was the first assignment I had was I was covering the Las Vegas Thunder hockey team. And I used to play at the Thomas and Mack Center. I was assisting the main beat writer. I was doing what they call writing a sidebar, what they call, supportive writing. And I'd never been to a hockey game before until that night. And we went out afterward. I did my story, and we were walking the Strip, and the volcano went off. And I stopped, and I looked at that thing, and it was, powerful and hot, and people were going nuts. And the writer with me, a guy named Kevin Ioli, who's a great sports writer, boxing writer, and was a great hockey writer at the time, said, you're not in Northern California anymore.
Yeah, no kidding.
You're not in Redding anymore, I think is what he said.
What a moment.
And it was, so that was my entry point into Las Vegas. And through the course of time, I was a sports writer for a couple of years, and then at the Review Journal, and then I left the Review Journal for the Las Vegas Sun and Greenspun Media Group, where I started writing everything but sports. I was a general feature writer, and that blossomed into me.
That was even like A&E, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Some of that's
totally, a lot of that. Just a lot of just general stories, but a lot of A&E, and the A&E part of it really appealed to me, and I started interviewing people who were performers. People
is that where you started focusing on entertainment?
Yeah,
was at that point.
Yeah, I really enjoyed. There's a lot of through line between sports writing and entertainment coverage. I found you go to a performance and you kind of break it down. You get to know the people who put it on. There's a lot of attention, a crowd attention to
so it's a similar
vehicle.
In that sense.
It was that, and I felt like it really was natural to me, but I was writing about all kinds of different topics at that time. And so I just remember some of the early stories. I went out one time, one of my first stories that I wrote in that beat that was focused on entertainment was a guy named Bill Acosta. He was known as the man of 1,000 voices, and he was at the Luxor, what is the Atrium showroom now where Carrot Top performs. Oh, yeah. And they had just built this place, and Bill was a great impressionist, traditional, and if President Nixon were here today, it would sound something like this. And and George Burns once said. So he did the whole show, and I was there to interview him after the show. And I got to go to the show, and I sat up front, and then they brought me into the green room, the dressing room afterward to wait for him. And I sat there, and I'm like, this is so cool to be in the backstage area here at this Las Vegas show. I was looking around and everything, and Bob came in, and I keep saying Bill, and he had his, bow tie open, and he was just coming off the stage, and, the big showman after the show.
Right.
We sat down and talked about his career. And that was one of the first, and I said, this is a cool job.
So that excited you to go in that direction.
It was really cool. Yeah. I just can tell you, I said, I would like to do more of this.
Any juicy early on stories that...
Well, I'll tell you the first, there was a big story that was happening at that time that really got me really into this coverage, had to do with Tony Orlando and Wayne Newton in Branson, Missouri. Okay. Shit. Now, Wayne was still was headlining here. I think he was. Where was he at the time? I think he was at the Hilton, still doing dates. Stardust. He was still doing shows in Las Vegas, but he was primarily doing a residency run in Branson, Missouri, at a theater that he and Tony Orlando co-leased. Okay, yeah. I think Wayne was the main tenant, and he sublet to Tony.
So they were
working alternate dates and it was called the Talk of the Town Theater. Tony Orlando, Wayne Newton, TOWN.
That's crazy.
Well, things went sideways in Branson for my friends there.
What happened?
This is in 99 or so, I think it was 98. Yeah. 98. And it just, there was some conflict about the business. This is going back a bit, but there was some business conflict and argument about, revenue and how the operations of the theater where they were in disagreement to the point where they sued each other.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Tony, one sued the other, one's countersued. And we started getting reports out of Branson about Wayne and Tony involved in this lawsuit. But they said, why don't you tackle this? And I didn't know either one of them. I had no experience.
But they were big names.
Oh, yeah, huge. Yeah, I knew of them, but I didn't know them personally.
Right.
So I know them really well now.
No question.
So that story led to, they were crazy. It was just a crazy thing where there was allegations of this camp had bugged a ficus in the dressing room to get information out of the other camp. It was all these allegations running across. And I did that story, and I got to know both those guys really well. Because
now, did you get stuck like in the middle of it
totally.
a little bit?
Oh yeah, because Wayne, they're both great guys. I mean, and this is way beyond. I mean, this is just the whole point is this is the one story that I really remember that got me involved and heavily into entertainment. But I was in the middle because I was talking a lot to Tony's camp and Tony and John Orlando, his son, who I know now. Great, there's a great guys. And Wayne's camp with his sister-in-law Tricia McCrone, is his wife Kathleen's sister. We became really good friends. We actually did a radio show together years later called Cats with the Dish at KUNV. We had a teamed up radio show together, Tricia and I. So I was talking to both sides, and our company was very tight with Wayne Newton at the Sun because Mike O'Callahan, who was the former governor of Nevada, was our executive editor, and he was the one largely responsible for bringing Wayne Newton into the Fremont Hotel when he was a teenager. This is how far back those guys went. He signed the paperwork that authorized Wayne to be inside the hotel. He wasn't legally allowed to be in it.
Oh, shit.
But he had to be in it to perform. It's a damnedest story.
Crazy.
Wayne tells the story. He was like, I was performing in a hotel that I wasn't legally allowed to be in. So between sets, they play 6 shows a night, 6 nights a week, 45 on, 15 off, or whatever. That was their rotation for these young guys all the time. And he had to leave the hotel and stand on the corner for the break, and then they'd bring him back in. And so you can imagine this is like in 1959, 60, 61 on the corner of, on Fremont Street, right in front of the Fremont Hotel for this young guy. I met a lot of very interesting ladies in those days. I probably would have been better off for you just to sit at a slot machine. You've been safer. So anyway, Michael Callahan was the one who made all that possible. So now he's my executive editor as I'm working on this story.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I'd be, and everybody knew I was working on it. Every once in a while I was like, okay, hi, Tony. What do you got? What's going on with the case? And I'm in the middle of the newsroom. And every once in a while, Mike would come over. And Mike O'Callahan was larger than life, man. He was a Korean War veteran and just a big presence. One of those
big personalities.
Yeah, you knew he was around even when you didn't see him.
Right.
Hey, great,
I can feel his presence.
Yeah, and he had a foot. Had lost his foot in the Korean War and he would get, what did he say? He got paid $400 a month with leg money or something like that. I got my leg money. Let's go to lunch. And so he'd go, hey, Kaz, how's it going? Kaz, not cats. Kaz. And he'd come through and he put his hand on me and say, how's our boy doing? I go, he's doing okay, meaning Wayne. Okay, be fair to him, I go, I will. Whew. So he was involved. And I'm just like this weaselly little feature writer. I'm like, good God, am I in for an awakening of some sort? But we got through the story. It was a wild story, and it did touch everything. And they ended up settling out of court. But through the process, I got to know all these camps. So I was really well known, not just with those particular, Newton fans and Tony Orlando fans. Newton had the Waniacs really big time then, and Tony had a national following because Tony Orlando was huge in the 70s.
Yeah.
Number one song,
Austin,
number one
Tony Orlando,
number
right?
one song, number one TV show simultaneously. in the 70s, Tony Line.
Wow,
There was
that's
many
amazing.
bigger stars than him. You recognize him immediately walking the streets. So I got to know them, and then all the entertainment community started realizing that I was had gotten to this point in my life. So things got to open up then, and that led to me knowing, especially Wayne, really well. I know that we're tight with the Newtons, and that led to a lot more coverage.
I had never met them until they came to an event we had here last November for our Fallout fan celebration.
That's right. They were part of that, right?
Yeah, he did a voiceover in the video game Fallout New Vegas. So he has a whole new fan base of 20-somethings.
Oh, he knows this climate.
Yeah. But he's great. He and his wife are wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
They're absolutely
big horsemen, yeah.
Yeah, they loved Good Springs. They had never been out here before.
Oh, I'll bet he did love
big
it.
fans of the saloon. So it was really
I hope
sweet,
he comes out for the next
guys.
one. Yeah.
Well, he talked about maybe singing for this next one. We'll have to see if he's contractually
have him bring the
able to do
sixth
that.
string and the banjo and do the whole thing.
Do a little thing, which would be fun.
I would love that. Yeah, I'll have to mention to those guys that have done this, and we got to come back to return to the pioneers.
Now, does it ever become a problem with you becoming friends that you're reporting on, where you're like getting to know people, but then you got to like report something bad?
It's interesting. Yeah, that's a very good point, because I try to keep everything very factual when I'm covering things. But the one thing I say, you got to be fair, you got to be factual, and you got to be thorough. You got to be really well informed when you do what I do. And I do have a lot of interpersonal relationships, especially now after 30 years in Las Vegas.
Yeah, how can you not?
And I am kind of, I'm into being a gentleman. I like being in the community, and I like commiserating with everybody. And so when things don't go right, and it's happened with Wayne, it's happened with a lot of people I'm tight with, that the show has to close, or if something happens, I go, okay, we got to come at this. We got to report what's exactly going on here. How do we do it? And people can feel like, oh man, I wish the negative. It's happened at a lot of properties. It's happened with a lot of entertainers. But all I can tell you is I do have a responsibility for getting information out that is sometimes going to not sit well with a lot of people I know personally. I don't know what else to say. It is a personality column, what I do, though. It is that. It's based on interpersonal relationships.
Right. And that's what I figured. I figured there had to be scenarios where you're friends with someone, but you got to report out. They just got busted for tax evasion for a few million, or this thing has happened.
For example.
For example. But, and then people naturally get pissed when they see, Kill the Messenger. Like, oh, I thought that guy was my friend, and now he's on his show talking shit about me. Like, does that ever happen?
I have been tangled up a little bit with that happening. The conversation is usually just that conversation. It's like, oh God, do you have to, report that, somebody who's might be a show producer, a star of a show, has their schedule limited. This has been gone and going, It's like, I don't want that negative information out there. I said, well, the public needs to know if they're going to be, following me for information that this has happened. Yeah. If you want me to cover the cool stuff and the big moments and the anniversaries and the openings and all that, and you gotta tell the whole story.
Right. You got to cover the whole thing.
And
good
that
and
is
bad, right?
that is. But I can only tell you that I try to make myself be as available and accessible as possible. Have the conversations, and be fair. I'm not a snarky individual in writing. I like to have a sense of humor, but I'm not unfair about how I write about that. I really don't believe I am. I don't think I've ever been that way. And
no, I
as
can't
long
imagine.
as I'm factually on the money and it's put into some kind of context, I think, eventually I'm fine where I sit with my reputation today after doing all kinds of different coverage.
You have a great reputation.
So I think it's hard work, though.
Yeah, no, it is. And you're maintaining real friendships with people while you're reporting on them. And that's got to be it's fascinating.
Well, I'm here for the duration. That's the thing. I don't just parachute in and write something and then get out.
Right.
I mean, it's part of the longer storytelling arc that I've created in Las Vegas.
Now, is there, for example, a friend of mine, Don Misher, he sadly passed away last year, and he was a special events producer, and he did the Grammys and the Oscars and the Emmys and the opening closing ceremonies of the Olympics, and he did a lot of the halftime shows. He did like the Prince Purple Rain halftime show. He did the Michael Jackson Moonwalk. So he's got a lot. He's a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Great executive producer. And he said throughout his career, he was always growing up. He was always a fan of Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
And that was the one guy that didn't let him down when he got to know him, when he worked with him, when he knew him creatively, spiritually. And that was a special person for him. Is there a celebrity that had that same, where they lived up to your expectations on that level?
Boy, there's a few that fit that. I mentioned Wayne and Tony, both world-class charisma. Donny Osmond, another one.
Yeah.
Donnie and Marie, both were that way. There's some like I'm really a big fan of Brad Garrett.
Oh yeah.
I like Brad a lot. He does a lot of good stuff. He's not only really funny, but he's very old Vegas. He has skin in the game with this comedy club. He's invested in it. And is just a wonderful guy to be around. He does a lot of philanthropy, Brad does, that we don't know about.
Oh, I'm glad to hear
even
that.
Sometimes we'll hear, Brad did this. He didn't tell me about that. He goes, he's not into, I like him a lot. He leaps to mind for that. Sammy Hagar is a great guy. I've gotten to know him over the years.
Oh, that's
very cool,
fun.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, just was writing about the Killers. They've been wonderful to work with, Brandon Flowers and their team, and the Imagine Dragons guys, too, the rock bands that come out of here.
Yeah.
They're very cool. They're important because I followed them before they were famous, so they came up, they weren't really.
Yeah, that's fun. But I
have had, those are the ones that leap to mind. I've had,
any particular assholes that, in case I can get some scoop.
I haven't, in my position, I will tell you, be completely candid, that a lot of people are on their best behavior when I'm dealing with them.
Yeah. They know whatever they say might be in the, except for me, because I'm pre-canceled, so I don't have to worry about that shit.
You come in canceled?
Yeah, I come in
Is
canceled.
that it?
Yeah.
Okay. You can't get canceled if you're canceled.
So what am I going to get?
That's right. I never thought. You can't double cancel somebody.
I can't,
Aren't you living large out here?
Yeah, that's why I don't give a shit. If you really don't care, it's hard to do something to somebody that really doesn't give a shit.
I've been double canceled, pre-canceled.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it isn't. I've had some hard conversations with people, but I haven't. I will just say that people are usually in the professional pocket if I'm not close to them at all, and just doing an interview are usually on there. They're all right.
Right.
Yeah.
But now, is it hard too sometimes when you've got to deliver news that's sad? Like, I know you were friends with Robin Leach, the host of Lifestyles of Rich and Famous.
Worked with Robin for a long time.
You had to report on his passing.
Well, another one was Jerry Lewis.
Lewis,
and that's another one I would name as somebody who, in my experience was great.
Oh, good.
But yeah, that was a tough time having to write, using Lewis as an example, writing about his passing, because I was close to him for about the past 10 or 15 years of his life, and had really written a lot about it. Spent a lot of time with him and the family. I interviewed him in San Diego on his yacht and in his house, and I spent 2 MDA telethons, his last 2, practically embedded with him. And when he got sick, that was a tough one, because I knew that it was going to be worldwide news for starters. So you have to do it right.
Right.
But it was I still miss Jerry Lewis as a guy. He was a handful. Jerry Lewis was
a handful. But he was a good guy, though?
To me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
He wasn't to everybody, including his family, members of his family, and that's been well chronicled. But, the thing about Jerry was I like his wife, and I got along very well, and his daughter Danielle, Sam, his wife, and his daughter Danielle, we all got along really well. And he once told me, he goes, the women in my life like you, and if you got them, you got me. So it was important. Yeah. But he was another one. But I've become pretty like I knew Shecky Green, when he passed away. That was a tough time. It's weird when you say these things out loud, like, I knew Shecky Green, but I knew Shecky Green.
No,
you wrrit these obituary stories and these columns, and they take a lot out of you, but they're effective because you do feel what has gone on, and it's sad to do it. But
I'm sure there's some pressure to do it right, and
you only get one pass. That first paragraph in an obituary story, what they call the second second line, which is the identifying clause, we call it so and so, comma, who died at age 95 or whatever. That piece is really important to get that right.
Right.
Clive Davis just passed away.
Right.
Clive Davis. How do you consolidate a guy like Clive Davis in that.
Yeah,
who had a career dating to the mid 60s and was
like 100 years of
of
history in your life.
Oh yeah, even the legends deferred to this guy.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of pressure, and I feel it, and it's good to feel it because you take it seriously.
Yeah. So we've only got a few minutes left, but I was curious, with you being in Las Vegas for so long and be so connected to so many people, do you think Las Vegas as a city is going in the right direction or the wrong direction, or neither? Just out of curiosity.
I think it's going the right direction because you have to evolve. I think that way. Las Vegas, people, need to realize is still a fairly young city. It's a young, cosmopolitan tourist destination. We're not like New York. We're not like some of the more Chicago established.
100 years ago, we only had like 800 to 1,000 people.
We're a juvenile city in a lot of ways. We're still growing it out and figuring it out. And I think it is going in the right direction when you consider, for example, look at our sports, our Major League Sports emphasis now. Yeah. This, 20 years ago, we couldn't even get a commercial on the Super Bowl ourselves.
I remember the NFL was like, well, we'll never have a team in Las Vegas. And I always thought that was so
we couldn't
stupid.
even promote ourselves, and they wouldn't even take our money in the Super Bowl.
There's gambling in every state.
Yeah,
it's just
and the thing about as we've learned, when they made gambling legal everywhere, sports betting,
right?
We were the unicorn then, because if you can, now it was just a matter of time which league came here first. Happened to be the NHL with the Golden Knights, and I think that evolution is great for the city. Now we've got the Raiders Super Bowl in the rotation of Super Bowls, all the NFL events, not just Super Bowl, but we have the NFL draft here. We have all kinds of different.
We got NBA coming too,
and
right?
NBA on the way with Bill Foley now in the game, who owns the Golden Knights and T-Mobile Arena in play. We'll get a team.
Yeah,
we will get an expansion team. It's just a matter of who and owns it and where they will play. And then we've got the A's. This is my life. I'm going to be meeting up with the A's owner tomorrow for coffee, John Fisher.
That's a rough life you have.
And
I feel terrible for you.
Yeah. I know.
Get to meet interesting people.
I find your sarcasm bracing.
No, it's fantastic.
But yeah,
I would say for entertainment, and this is just my personal opinion, knowing how much of Los Angeles, because I've jumped between LA and Vegas for the last 30 years. I love both cities. I've had houses in both towns, but LA used to be, our thing used to be like Vegas was for the old has-beens and LA is the new artists, and that's all changed. And now people like Imagine Dragons and bands are coming out of Vegas. But I think a lot of the industry is moving here, and there's new studios. And I think you are in the perfect position for what you focus on and report on to where the town is going to be going in the next few years.
We've seen that happen here, where the perception of Las Vegas has completely changed about who plays resident. We didn't even used to call them residencies; they were just the people who played here.
Right.
But yeah, it has gone from. It's still a legacy city in a lot of ways. We still have the artists who are the Rod Stewarts, but we do also have people who are in their commercial prime playing here. I covered like Lady Gaga's shows many times over at Dolby Live. Bruno Mars, I've gotten to know him. He's over at the Pinky Ring and at Dolby Live. He's he issues songs that are #1 immediately, his last album. And before that, Silk Sonic. So he's in his commercial peak. I just covered, people who are all over the map. I just covered Kenny Chesney over the weekend at Sphere. Everybody wants a piece of the Sphere now.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's something. And all the tours come here, almost all of them, to either T-Mobile or Allegiant Stadium or one of the other theaters.
And the Sphere acoustically is phenomenal. And no one talks about that because of the whole lighting on the outside and inside, but it is an acoustic dream. Because I always said the Hollywood Bowl is my favorite place to see a band.
I'm with you on that.
Before the Sphere, but now that encompassing acoustic.
Yeah,
thing.
boy, I saw a fit. Well, this happened in the Chesney's show too, where they can move the sound around. When Fish was playing there, they isolated they could move the bass line around in a circuitous way, and in a circle. Music. It's not the best acoustically designed facility when you're in a rounded area, but they have figured out
somehow they do it.
Sound laser effect.
Yeah,
and it's remarkable. It's the #1 tourist attraction in the world. Right now is the Sphere, and so
they're actually making money now. Right before it took a minute, but
I was always told it would take 2 years for them to turn a profit or get to close to a profit. And it's what I say to that is it's MSG money,
so they got
Jim Dolan's money. It's
play
not
around
our
with.
money.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
I go,
No,
you guys want to
yeah.
play? It's like being gambling. You want to play over there and do okay. Better you than me. But I'm a big supporter of what they've got coming into Sphere. They've got the Rocky Horror Picture Show now planned. They
Yeah, I wanna
announced.
see that.
I love the throw with the Wizard of Oz. It's not perfect, but it's great to see what they've done with that. The concerts are self-explanatory. Everybody goes in there and just, no doubt, was a fantastic, personality-driven show. Kenny Chesney rocked the place. Everybody who's played there has rung the bell. And what do you give credit where it's due? Jim Dolan, the guy whose company owns Sphere, is on a hot streak right now. He owns a Knicks. He owns a Madison Square Garden. He's like, he should play.
Another rough life.
Yeah, he should gamble every day. Yeah, he's got it rough. You get to meet these people. It's pretty
That's
cool.
neat. Well, I love everything you do. I love your storied career and everything and you have a great personality. And thank you for being on my show. It's a real
I'm
honor.
honored. Oh.
And obviously, John has a great taste in hats. So
Resist all, except no substitute. I only wear this during the NFR and for Pioneer Saloon.
So everybody, the legendary Johnny Katz, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time. Woo-da!
Old Man Liver.
It's what?